So let's aware of our and with every exhalation, no thoughts. Sure, it's working. We're having
That was really
this will be pretty loud, but so let's become aware of our breathing. Every exhalation, allowing ourselves to enter more deeply into this present moment, the only holy moment is right now. So we give thanks for this precious opportunity to be together here in unity in this beautiful sanctuary. So we give thanks knowing that this outer sanctuary is a manifestation of the inner sanctuary where we dwell always in unity with the infinite love that is the source of our life, the source of all life. We give thanks for everyone who helps make this outer sanctuary possible. We give thanks for all of the teachers in our life and for all of the teachings of all the world's wisdom traditions that turn our minds away from the delusion of separateness to the truth, the infinite interconnectedness of all life. One life lives through all of us. We give thanks for all of our loved ones and for the whole community of life here on this beautiful earth. We give thanks for the rivers and mountains, the oceans and forests, islands, and all of the animals celebrating their lives in the waters and in the air and on the land, and for the whole human family, the great adventure of awakening the truth that we are. Thanks knowing that the light shines at the very heart of the universe, also shining right now in our heart, shining in every cell of our being, every aspect of our lives, every dimension of our life into harmony, into abundance, and into truth, into freedom and radiant health, joy. As we deepen our connection with the purpose that we are here on this earth to fulfill in this lifetime. We give thanks that we have a mission, that we are here to engage and then to contribute. And so we just allow the music now to deepen our connection with the truth that we are. Abiding together in the silence and purity of being, in awareness that what we are was never born and will never die. That what we are is infinite and eternal consciousness. We are always the image of the infinite love, the source of all life. May we remember and realize the truth of our being for the benefit of all living beings. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free and at peace. May we continue to work together to build a more enlightened society, a world that cares for everyone, a world that reflects the inner Christ, shining always in our hearts. Through the power and presence of the infinite spirit of truth and love, we give thanks knowing this is so. And so it is. Thank you all for joining together in our meditation. I'd like to play a short piece of music now before we go into the talk. And this will be a piece called Dance for the Arctic Moon. The moon cross-culturally represents the feminine dimension, and I think one of the most important things for us is to connect with the sacred feminine dimension of consciousness within ourselves. So this is Dance for the Arctic Moon. The north of the four directions represents the direction of going within. So this is, again, Dance for the Arctic Moon. Enjoy. All right. Yeah, it's great driving music, right? Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for keeping the spirit alive here in Oroville at Unity. It's wonderful to be here. This is our first time here, and just fantastic to experience the teaching. So I want to share a few things as just to to connect, I guess, more deeply with the truth teachings in Unity, because I think they're so precious. And one of the things I love seeing here, the beauty of the art on the wall up here. I think somebody in here did this. Oh, you did, right? Beautiful, and the honoring all the world's religious traditions and the love and all these things. It's really very uplifting. You know, Madeline and I have been traveling to Unity churches for many decades, actually, and one of the things I always like to remember in the beginning is just that there's all around the United States and really many other parts of the world, people are gathering on Sunday morning at Unity and reaffirming these same truths. We're part of a much larger movement. And it's really, I think, one of the healthiest movements in the sense that it's based on each one of us being empowered to authentically connect with our own spirituality. It's based on this idea of inclusion and radically including not only everyone is welcome here, but also all the wisdom traditions of the world, especially, of course, Christianity and the teachings of Jesus, but really honoring the wisdom in all the traditions. And Charles is famous, really, for this basic underlying idea. Charles and Myrtle both, but Charles wrote it quite a bit. He said, each one of us should go straight to headquarters, right? Each one of us has the capacity to do that. For him, that was easy. That meant, I'll just ask Myrtle. But for, for the rest of us, we have to get connected. For me, it's easy too. I can just ask Madeline. But it's still good to actually take time every day. I really want to encourage, how many of you do that? Take time every day to somehow have a practice of some kind of that reconnects you to the inner truth, the inner wisdom, because we, in our society, it's so easy to be just swept along. We have so many obligations, so many pressures. financial, emotional, familial, professional, who knows what. So to make sure we anchor our life in some time of connecting with inner silence, of devotion, of connecting with nature, it's more important than ever, I think. And so I want to thank you all for the inner efforts you're making. The basic thing I want to emphasize really, this afternoon we'll be giving a workshop on intuition. And again, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, that was one of their main things, that each one of us has the capacity to connect with our own inner guidance system. That's really what intuition is. It's the inner guidance system that we all have. And it's our greatest friend. There's no friend better than an inner knowing I can learn to trust that will guide me to live my life, not the life they're trying to get me to live through the Walmart ads or that my father said I should do or all the relatives or who knows what, but to really have an inner guidance system that will guide us to live our lives. And it doesn't mean that our life will then just be a bed of roses. We won't have any challenges. We'll have challenges, but we'll be living our life. And so there's a sense of joy. One of the most important things I think to understand, I think some of you have connected with this, is that we don't need any reason in the outer world to be happy. We're happiness itself. We are joy. We are of divine source, and that is joy. There's a bubbling spring of joy deep within us, and it's always, nothing can stop it. It's always there. We do a really good job of completely covering it over and like thinking, wish I would have done that, and I wish he would have done, but if he would have done that, I would have done, and then, but if he would have done that, then I would have, and there we go, and we're off and running, and it goes like that for like 50 years or whatever. So the whole idea is if we can quiet the noise and we can connect with this inner joy that doesn't get any better because we got some kind of thing in the outer world. It's always present. And then we're no longer at the mercy of the cravings that I wish I could have this, or the fears, oh, I don't want to have that. In the Buddhist tradition, that's called samsara. Samsara is the fundamental delusion that what we are is an essentially separate self. This thing, this thing. We think we're this body. We're told that we're this body. We really need to wake up out of that delusion. If we go to the beach and we're walking along and we see a footprint in the sand, we don't go up to the footprint and go, well, good morning, George. How are you doing this morning? We know it's just it's a footprint. Another being made that footprint. This is a footprint waving, right? You cannot see me, right? The being. It's true for everyone, for every being, for animals, humans. We see the outer forms. This is a vehicle that the being is using for a few decades. We are not that. We are the one. So when we can quiet our mind, we can connect with that understanding. And then we can each one of us can become a healer. Because when we see that in others, when you see beyond their height, weight, age, gender, shoe size, whatever, see the being. That's what Jesus did. He saw beyond that. The guy was lame, but he said, no, I see the being. And he knew it. And the guy got up and walked, right? This is what Charles and Myrtle Fillmore are talking about. When we see beyond the delusion, the counterfeit, and see the truth, the infinite eternal life, it's beautiful. And then we bring out the best in others. We bring out the best in ourselves, but we can't really do it unless we first do it within ourselves. So that's why I think it really is important to have a regular practice where we not only study the teachings, but also meditate or pray or just quiet the mind. And in the short time we have left, I realize it's kind of a short one here, but I just want to tell just a quick story, because I think, we're in a community, and each one of us, you came in the door, you found your way here, right? Congratulations, you're still here. Really, it's not that easy to find your way through that door and to resonate with the vibration of healing and wisdom and non-judgment and all these things. And so you all have a story, and your story is precious. That you're living a story, and your story inspires others. And so I want to share a little bit about my story, because in Madeline, but just briefly, just share a couple of points that I've already made, but maybe makes it a little clearer. I was born and raised in Massachusetts, in Concord, Massachusetts, back in the 1950s. And it was kind of a neat place to come from, just because there was all these revolutions there, like in the 1775. Remember that? The Old North Bridge. Hardly a man is now alive that remembers the famous day and year of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. The whole So we would, on April 19th, it was the, it was Patriots Day, and we would celebrate the revolution. My father would get dressed up in his Minuteman outfit, get the gun off the wall. We'd go down and celebrate the revolution, right? And I think there's something healthy about that. We need to be willing to make changes when things are not going the way, there's a tyranny going on. And later, like about maybe 80 years later, in the mid 1800s, there was another somewhat of a revolution that really impacts us here. And that's the transcendentalist movement, right? Emerson. And so I learned to swim in Walden Pond. I was born in Emerson Hospital and went to Alcott School and Thoreau School and all this stuff. So these people were really the first ones to bring the teachings of Asia into North America. They have the largest library of books on Taoism and Buddhism and Vedanta and all these things. And so they were, in a sense, enriching the traditions that were already here with ideas like God is equally female as male, right? This is kind of this radical idea from the Hindu tradition, but which is embraced by unity, or the idea that God is infinite mind from the Buddhist tradition, or the idea of God as principle from the Taoist tradition, that we can learn what this principle is and live our lives in harmony with it, and actually have inner peace and so forth. So these teachings came in, and Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, I think, were very interested in this. And I got interested in this when I was in college in Maine back in the early 1970s. And I remember going deeper and deeper into it. And somehow I got this book that seemed to kind of sum it up. And some of you may have heard of it. It was an old book written in the 1890s by a guy named Richard Buck. And it's called Cosmic Consciousness. And the basic thesis of that book was that pretty much everybody is walking around in what he called self-consciousness, like the level where we care basically about ourselves, and maybe a few people close to us. That's pretty much how we are. But he said there are a few rare people who made a qualitative leap, and they live in a state of what he called cosmic consciousness. And he had examples of these people like Jesus and the Buddha, and many great sages and saints and founders of religions and poets through the centuries, men and women, mystics and so forth. And he referred to their writings and their teachings, and he said these people clearly were on another level, and they lived their lives as a blessing. And they were not afraid of dying. They had this moral elevation and intellectual illumination, he called it. But the thing that really resonated with me especially was, he said, it is the destiny of every human being to attain cosmic consciousness. That's really why we're here. We're not here just to accumulate or prove ourselves in some way. We're here to attain cosmic consciousness and be a light in our own unique way. So I remember going back home at the breaks and say, Dad, Mom, you know about cosmic consciousness, right? We're here to attain higher consciousness. My father said, I'm spending a lot of money actually on this education of yours. How is that going to help you get ahead in the world? But he understood somewhat. He taught me to play the piano after all, and my mother was an artist. And so, but my younger brother, to my delight, he really resonated with what I was saying. He said, yeah, we've got to do this. We got to do it. And so we thought, well, okay, so now what do we do? And we thought about it, really. This was 1975. I had just graduated from Colby College. And we thought, we know what to do. If we want to attain a cosmic consciousness, it's not that hard. All you have to do is go to California. So that's what we thought. We thought, we'll go to California. But we thought we'll do it the way they do it in India. So we left home, we walked down the driveway. We had a little backpack, so I had some fresh baked cookies from my mother, and we had no money. We were just going to walk all the way and meditate and let the universe take care of us. And we got after about maybe 2.5 weeks or so, we got as far as Buffalo. And in Buffalo, it was already freezing. It was October, and we thought, you know what? We better just head south. So we started walking south. little backcountry roads down through upstate New York and then into Pennsylvania, then cross Pennsylvania into West Virginia. We got into the Bible Belt. I didn't know what that was, but I found out very quickly. That means they try to save you every night. It was really interesting. We had no money, so we were just spending the night on floors of churches and somehow getting a few apples. And it was autumn, which was good. People had gardens, zucchinis. We eat a lot of zucchinis. And we were just meditating. There was this teaching from India that we read about from Ramana Maharshi. He said, just ask the question, who am I? And go deeper and deeper with that. And so that's what we were doing. We were just walking and going, who am I? Who am I? We didn't really care about food or anything. We just wanted to wake up. And so we got through West Virginia, we got into Kentucky, eventually get down into Tennessee, and we ended up at this commune in Tennessee called The Farm. And The Farm in 1975 was the biggest hippie commune in the world, and they were pretty much all from California. And so that was actually, they were all vegetarian. So I actually have never eaten meat in my life since being there. It was like they kind of taught me about that. And then we decided though that wasn't the place to stay. So after a few weeks, we continued, and we ended up in Alabama at a Zen center in Alabama, if you can believe that. And that eventually led that I mentioned a few years later, got out to California, and I was living in these different meditation centers. I discovered unity actually. And, but then I went over to Korea, I shaved my head, became a Zen Buddhist monk, and I was living over in Korea meditating. And, but I decided I wasn't really supposed to be a monk. So I came back, got my PhD at Berkeley, taught college for quite a few years. I met Madeline, and we realized, and I had actually realized it before I met Madeline, that unity, this movement of unity, is incredibly, what can I say, precious. I mean, it's got the deep wisdom teachings that epitomize the wisdom of the world's traditions in an accessible form that's right. It's just in our hands, but it's precious, and it's so important that we keep these going into the next generation. These are the precious teachings. Without these teachings, people go into terrible suffering and delusion. But with these teachings, we can create a world of peace and harmony and abundance. So we just decided to just go to unity churches. So we've been pretty much every Sunday. We lived in an RV for 17 years, just going every Sunday to a unity churches. We've been to hundreds and all 50 states. Well, they didn't have one. Still don't have one in North Dakota, but when they have one, we'll go there. But all there, and many countries, Europe and Australia and Caribbean and whatever. And like I say, it's a fantastic movement. And I think, again, it comes back to this joy. I just want to close here with this final little few words, which is that when I was on that walk with my brother, I remember sometimes we had no reason to have any happiness, right? I mean, we had nothing. We had no money, no security. Whatever we had, we gave it away because you have to carry it. Pretty soon you don't need it, And so, but I remember walking along some little road somewhere in West Virginia or Kentucky and having these waves of joy just washing over me. I was so happy. And it's because I was living my life. That's all you need to do. We live our life, we'll be happy. There'll be an underlying sense of, this is it. I'm here to do this, and this is my life. And I just want to thank all of you, because I know that you are on that path of living your life and using the spiritual inner guidance system to keep you on it, even though we're bombarded with influences to push us away and make us afraid and make us judge and go and do something else. But it's amazing. And the abundance, we had no money and we didn't starve. I mean, somehow miracles happened. I could go into a whole talk on that, but it's like Jesus said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and everything else shall be added unto you. That's what we need to do. And it does happen. So much love to all of you. Thanks so much for the community that you have here to fulfill these teachings. Bless you all. Thank you. Thanks so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we look forward to the workshop. Yay.